So, Doc, you have already described the budget as a Sakawa budget. I mean, that's a bit harsh, isn't it? Yeah, anyway, so, why do you think it's a Sakawa budget?
So that would appear harsh, but when you give a description to an event or a document, you may have to proffer reason that will let the good people of Ghana appreciate why you had to describe it as such. First and foremost, the finance minister did well. He did well by capturing some of their manifesto promise and letting them find expression. And to that extent, when a government presents a budget and make provision for some of the things they promise the good people of Ghana, it inspires some bit of hope in the government. And every government, especially after a heated election, would reflect on their manifesto promises and deliver on some of them. And the 2017 budget was almost greeted with the same euphoria as the euphoria around this particular budget. But you see, if you have the benefit of insight, the benefit of experience, and the benefit of following details, then your duty, as it were, is to then point out to if everyone is following the euphoria, then we'll be lost. The country will have no direction. So the minority duty is then to look away, depart from the euphoria, and look at the reality. Because the minister came in to present a budget. As a matter of fact, even the order and arrangement of the budget was the carrot and stick. And he made sure that the stick was not felt in the presentation, but was spread across, but the carrot was condensed together so that everyone would say, we have abolished this, we have abolished this, we have abolished this. That sounds catchy, that sounds good, everyone will be happy. But he then spread a litany of austerity measures, spread across the document that it has to take someone with proper concentration to follow him through the litany of austerity measures. For instance, we feel that the finance minister was dishonest to the good people of Ghana, and the dishonesty is explained by two things. He used data in the statement, which is totally different from the document they have presented to us. That's the first dishonesty.
Okay.
For instance.
So first of all, what is contained in this document? Read this. I want you to, if you can do that quickly.
I can give an example. I can give an example. He told you people that the total projected revenue was 223.8 billion.
Yes.
Representing about 17.2% of GDP.
Okay.
In their document, in this particular document they presented to us, their total projection of revenue was 16.1% of GDP, and it is 224.9 billion. That's one.
So clearly there's some discrepancies.
Okay. Aside these discrepancies, the finance minister wanted to create a sense that we're in debt distress situation and that we have incurred so much debt. What is the measure of that? You can't say that on vacuum. Either use absolute numbers of debt or you index it to the size of the economy. But he was running away from that until the Ghana Statistical Service came out only the day before, to mention the size of the economy. Virtually, he was forced then to say that, look, our economy has grew by the level of economy is now 1.2 trillion, which effectively means that when we index our debt to our GDP, our debt to GDP is now 61.8%. What is the debt sustainability threshold? You are talking about something 60%, but the IMF program even puts it at 55%.
By 2028.
By 2028.
Yes.
And then we are already at 61.8%. From the debt of, we're talking about 105% to GDP.
Yeah.
At a point 80%, at a point 60%. So if you are talking about the debt situation, then you need to appreciate the fact that, look, you cannot make this argument on the debt because the debt situation is sustainable, or it's not yet sustainable, 155, but it is on the verge of sustainability, because you only have about 8 percentage points to bring it back to the IMF target by 2028. And effectively, you are given 4 years to manage our debt. That is one. Two, the finance minister created a sense that we want to contain expenditure, but you bring us a budget that your expenditure is far in excess of expenditure by Nana Akufo-Addo, even under election year. Not even election year. This is your first year. And your budget estimate far outweighs the expenditure Nana Akufo-Addo had when he was even conducting elections. We all know elections, government will want to do more projects. in order to gain the currency for it. That is another. The finance minister, in his speech, tried to create the sense that, government would default. I find it interesting that a finance minister is already telling IMF mission, which is going to come and assess you and release funds to you, that we are going to default. The finance minister mentioned it to them. Look, why will you want investors to come and invest in your economy? And the IMF program is to give you policy credibility. You are calling people to come and invest in your economy. At the same time, you are telling them that the credibility the IMF is going to give us will not get it because we are going to default. Why would he say that? Because he wants an opportunity to spend his way out of the conditionalities of the IMF. The speaker, the finance minister talked about taxes. Look, e-levy was going to go. We are all happy. We have to commend the government for letting it go because we also promised there's no big deal about it. It is going, it has gone. We say the government, thank you, and the government has done well. You promised that you are going to do away with emission levy. This is a tax that was never even implemented in the first place. Not one single city was taken from emission levy. The government put a hold on it, but you make campaign out of it. You are coming, you are saying you are removing it. Fair and good, but that was not even a burden on the Ghanaian people. So effectively, you have done nothing. Because your essence of governance is to remove burden, to take away burden from the people. So if you go and take away emission tax, you have done nothing because it was not a burden on the Ghanaian people. That is, but it is going. You can say that let's give them the political effect, the propaganda effect of it. But aside these beautiful promises, we can say effectively, the government gave us three. He tried to trivialize that. No, they are not trivial matters. All the taxes removed, they were all progressive taxes. All of them.
How so?
How so? Let's take e-levy. It's proportionate to your number of transactions. The more you do, the more you pay. The rich pay more on e-levy than the poor. It's proportionate.
You don't agree with those who say e-levy was hurting the
poor
more than the rich?
I'm saying that it's every taxation measure will have to put some burden. And I know my mother in the village has never sent me money. I send him money. I send her money. Right? The poor people don't have the wherewithal to do financial transactions. It's the rich who are relatively better or who send the money. Right? So that argument about the poor, it is the scope that people were afraid of. And the scope also affects that. Look, the Kaye lady taking her 500 Ghana cedi, having to send some to the mother in the village would face it. That is the point people sometimes complain. But that taxation itself was progressive. But that said, you come back to a growth and sustainability levy. You know the companies it covers. Mm-hmm. The growth and sustainability levy covers telecom companies. One, it covers shipping lines. Two, it covers these are the companies it covers: banks, non-bank financial institutions, insurance companies, telecom companies. It covers breweries. It covers inspection and evaluation companies. It covers companies providing mining support services, bulk oil distributors, oil marketing companies, telecom tower operators, companies providing upstream petroleum services, companies and institutions registered by the Stock Security and Exchange Commission, Special Depositor Taking Institution, electronic money issuers, shipping lines, maritime and airport terminals. That is the category A. And you know what it means? The government is imposing 5% tax on these companies from 2025 all the way to 2028. That's the meaning of it. Because the government says that they are extending that tax, which was supposed to have elapsed this year. They are extending it to 2028. It means that all these companies, a 5% tax has been levied on them for the next 4 years. Aside that, the government is also putting an additional 200% increase, apart from extending it for category B, that is mining companies and upstream gas and oil companies. Apart from extending it for them for the next year, the government has increased their rate by about 200%, from 1% to 3%. That is another burden the government has put. Apart from this, category C, all other entities not falling within category A and B, there is a 2.5% charge on them. This is the effect of that particular policy the finance minister mentioned. The details of it hasn't come because they have deliberately put it under closet because they don't want the good people of Ghana to know. Aside this, the minister also mentioned about special import levy. The special import levy, I'm happy the AGI has come to speak on that matter. Okay, it is for them. It is an imposition of tax. You say you are going to reduce import duties, that the cost of, bringing goods into the country were so high. Now you are increasing, you are actually imposing tax on them for the next 4 years. That's the meaning of that particular measure. The president also, through the finance minister, also imposed tax on non-life insurance policy, which was exempted. So it means that if I'm going to insure my property, my house, I'm going to pay insurance. If I'm going to insure my goods, freight, I'm going to pay insurance. If I'm going to put any non-life insurance, the only exclusion they're making here is that motor vehicles are exempted, which was even exempted in the first place. In fact, motor vehicles together with all non-life insurance were zero tax. Okay. Now there's now tax on them. Apart from that, there is also this particular. We have talked about road tolls. Road tolls was there as a replacement for COVID-19, right? Okay. It was burden on the good people. Apart from the inconvenience, it was a tax on every user of the road. Okay. Now the government is now proposing a tax measure to tax them. All right. That is another tax measure.
If you can do this quickly, because we're running
out of time. There's a lot to talk about. But finally, the finance minister has given an excuse to the fact that the shortfalls from the abolition of those particular taxes would be catered for from the what you call our tax refund account. What is a tax refund account? It is revenue, 6% of revenues from non-oil taxes will be set aside in a sinking account, in a buffer. Said that if an individual has a tax refund, they will pay through that particular person, through that particular account. He says that it has not been used over the years. What basically he's deciding to do is that I will reduce the rate.
It's not being used properly.
What I'll do is that I will reduce the rate from 6 to what? 4%, which essentially means that you are uncapping that particular fund. In fact, from 6, it goes to 4. It means that there's going to be freeze of revenue for you to use for other purposes. That's what it means. Yes. But in the first place, even the 6%, whenever they don't pay and the money is there, it goes back to the consolidated account. It supports government expenditure. Okay. So that is also a point that has well. And aside that, this government has given it a sense that they are going to reduce government expenditure. If you go to the Office of Government Machinery, they have increased, even they are claiming, Nana Akufo-Addo had 300 appointees and they are reducing their budget this year. Far outweighs. Compensation alone is around 2.7 billion for this year. Okay. But Nana Akufo-Addo, even with the bloated government, did a compensation of around 300 million. Okay. So this is what we are talking about. That